Breaking news. New York judge asked to dismiss Donald Trump's conviction following Supreme Court ruling on immunity, sparks discussions from experts.
Donald Trump is asking a judge in his hush money trial to overturn his conviction and dismiss the case. Lawyers for former president say the jury's guilty verdict on all 34 felony counts should be tossed out because of the Supreme Court's recent ruling on presidential immunity. CNN's Kara Scannell is joining us now. Tell us what the background is on this. What are the reasons that the lawyers are saying, hey, this has to be tossed out because of this ruling by the Supreme Court?
Sarah, the lawyers are really focusing on the part of the ruling that says that at a trial you cannot use evidence of official acts in a case. And that's really where they're focusing their arguments here before this judge, asking him to throw out the conviction and the indictment and looking into some of the specific testimony of some of the witnesses that testified, including Hope Hicks and Madeleine Westerhout, two people who worked in the Oval Office with Donald Trump when he was president, saying any testimony they gave about conversations they had with the then president at the time related to the hush money payments should not have been allowed to go before the jury. They also want to exclude any of the testimony around the special counsel's investigation. Michael Cohen testified about that and how he was acting in a certain way to benefit Donald Trump at the time, also throwing out any testimony related to the Federal Election Commission investigations, and also any of the tweets that Donald Trump sent out saying that those were official communications and they should not have been used. And prosecutors relied on that to show that there was a pressure campaign against Michael Cohen, trying to get him not to cooperate in the investigation, which he ultimately pleaded guilty to criminal charges on federal courts. But they want to get that thrown out, and they say that the entire case is irreparably tainted, leaving dismissal as the only lawful option. Sarah?
Very interesting. We'll see what happens with that case as well, although a lot of the things that happened in that case happened before he was president, we should note. Kara, thank you so much.
Former President Donald Trump is asking the judge in his New York hush money trial to toss out his criminal conviction.
Yeah, Trump's legal team is basing this question on the Supreme Court's recent ruling that presidents have immunity for official acts, but not private conduct. Let's get some analysis now from CNN legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Jennifer Rogers. Jennifer, Trump's lawyers are arguing that his guilty verdict in the hush money case should be vacated because the DA's office it relied on evidence at trial related to Trump's official acts as president. They're specifically asking for Hope Hicks's testimony to be taken out. Does their argument have merit?
Well, Boris, we're waiting to find out. I mean, one of the things that the Supreme Court often does when it establishes new law, as it did here, is it doesn't really explain all the various scenarios that are going to be impacted, right? It allows lower courts to figure out in the first instance how the new rule applies and whether it matters in terms of overturning a conviction. So in the first place, we're waiting for Judge Marchand to make a ruling about whether any official acts evidence actually was presented and received at trial, and then whether that requires striking testimony, overturning the conviction, ordering a new trial. So I think he'll do that in the first instance. And it seems to me that the Trump team has an uphill battle to argue that this was official conduct as opposed to private conduct, given what the subject matter was of the Hope Hicks testimony and the case in general.